Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another video, another day, another dollar. Well, we're going to be breaking down the S&P 500 futures contract. We're going to be looking at our 30-minute time frame to start it off. Go over everything that occurred today in as quick as time as I possibly can make it. There's a lot to discuss, as there's a pretty significant thing that happened today, to say the least. We'll review everything today. We'll review one trade that I took. Even though there were multiple opportunities for trades today, I only took one, and it was on the long side. We'll discuss that here in a second. And then after that, we'll mark our destinations per usual. So stick around for that, and then we'll get into our larger time frame where we'll look at the weekly and the daily time frames, especially the daily time frame, as I'm not quite sure how to handle today. And I'll tell you more about that when we get to it. So right now we are looking at the 30-minute time frame. We are looking at the profile picture of it. You can see where our balance was for a majority of the past several days. We've just been kind of in this choppy balance area. And I marked in yesterday's video kind of like this supply demand type of structure. Normally I just label my balance areas, balance high, balance low. And then kind of give you the more specific levels instead of just areas of resistance and areas of demand. Well, today we gapped above yesterday's high. Yesterday's high was another pretty interesting thing. We had just stretched our balance high by about a point. And then coming into today, I said if we took out the daily high, we would be potentially one time framing up. Well, today we took it out and gapped above. We opened up with a gap above the previous day's high, and we gapped above our balance high. Our balance high being that 1075 from yesterday, and we gapped above that by a pretty good margin. We opened up today at 2925, so that was a pretty large gap to the upside from 610 to 629.25. Basically, after the GDP number came out, came in better than what was expected. So everybody was, getting long, just kind of pushing this market higher and higher. Basically, was looking to, at some point, backfill if we could, get a little bit of an inventory adjustment, which, seeing how early on in the morning we really couldn't take out the overnight high. The overnight high was at 46.34, and I can confirm that. Yeah, right here on our 15-minute chart, that includes the full session with the overnight session included. That is 34.50 was the overnight high, and today's high in the RTH, or the real trading, RTH, the real trading hours here, 33.50 was the high. So we just front ran that, and I mean, imagine shorting that, and you basically shorted the high of today. And I guarantee you there's somebody out there that's like, oh, I caught this whole move down, I shorted right at the top, blah, 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 and they made millions. Which is BS. Nobody caught that full move. Granted, there were opportunities to get involved on the short side as this thing just melted down. But kind of key nuance was front running the overnight high and not looking back. So after we did that, you could have definitely been, okay, let's see how we pull back. How much do we pull back? Do we fill the gap, bounce, and then reverse back up? Or do we bounce and just kind of consolidate and hold above the previous balance high, the previous day's high, and see if we can create a Y point of control there, or do what we did today, which was bounce and then roll over and then just absolutely puke it up, ending the day with a triple distribution day, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, A being the first distribution, this whole section being the second distribution, and then this section down here being the third distribution. So 1, 2, 3. So a triple distribution day, 4 sets of single prints to the downside, with a price probe to the downside. So very, very weak, to say the least. And yeah, so what I was more or less looking for today was whenever we opened up with this gap above the previous balance high, the previous day's high, was looking to see, to get long on a pullback near the balance high and where the gap filled. And once we filled the gap, I seen that we were consolidating a little bit, which to me was like, okay, maybe we consolidate and then go back up and attempt to fill the set of single prints that we had created early on in B period. So now that you can clearly see what balance area I was talking about, let's pull up our destinations. So you know what time frames I'm discussing here. Let's zoom this in just a hair for you guys. So early on in the day, we had single prints here in B period that eventually got filled later on in H. And well, here, if I'm going to mark the whole thing, let's mark the whole thing. Excuse me. So initially, this is what the single prints looked like after B closed. Very large set. So we were looking to see if C period took out B's low and continued to push lower, right? Because B pulled back. You could have taken a few longs on the way down. However, I was waiting to see if we would gap fill and if we would hold trend. And we did initially open up with trend, meaning if you just pay attention to the right hand side of the screen here, basically your 30-minute time frame looked like that initially. And then once we opened up in C period, we take out the low. Can't get much to it. Barely misfilling the single prints or the gap early on in the day or earlier on in the morning after getting one time framing down, single prints, and then the initial balance low. So sellers had things in their favor. And then we push up pretty good. And then the single prints get reduced down to 2350 to 2550. So now the single prints look like this highlighted area here. So basically, this is what your profile would have looked like, or your 30-minute time frame would have looked like early on in the day with that little bitty gap right there. So my initial thought was, okay, if we fill the gap and hold the 1075 area, if we hold above it and consolidate for a time frame, then maybe I'll look to get long to push up into that set of single prints. So that's what I did. I took the long around 12, 13, and 11 on all four accounts. And then this thing pushed up. I got out some 19, and then I got out some 20 as we pushed up higher in F period, because I did not know if we would get an afternoon rally high or if we would fill the single prints. And I wanted to take profits early on. Little did I know it was going to present a great shorting opportunity as this thing pushed up into the single prints here where they filled at 2550 and we got up to 25. So we missed filling them by 2 ticks. So this little sliver of single prints there was a great short opportunity using B's high as your out. So sellers had one time framing down early on in the day. They took out the initial balance low. They had single prints, and then they had the opening because we hadn't seen it since B period. Then we stopped the one time framing down in E period, begin to one time frame up in F, meaning we're setting higher highs, higher lows, kind of changing the trend, right? You can see how here we were holding above that high of day and where the gap filled. So buyers were starting to feel confident again. And then as we pushed up, seeing that we couldn't fill the single prints in G, and then opening up in H and getting right to G's high and not pushing up to fill 2 ticks of single prints and then just rolling over like we did was pretty nuanced. I definitely would have taken the short in H period had I been present, but I was busy at the moment. Had I been present in H period, I definitely would have taken the short, and then this thing to at least revisit the lows. I would not have taken the short to do what we did in H period, which was liquidate. And I mean, absolutely liquidate. We haven't had a good liquidation break in quite some time. And that's what we did. We liquidated in H period and then pushed below D's low, which was the previous day's low. And then we began to find acceptance back into the previous day's range. So H period pulled back, stopping the one time framing up. We start one time framing down in an I after holding another set of single prints. So I'll highlight that real quick for you so you can visually see what I'm talking about. So it's not going to be exact, but that's what the single prints looked like. So we had just created a second set of single prints, and then we start the one time frame down in J period, creating another set of single prints, a very small set here at 0125 to 675. So another very, very small set, but they are there. And when you have back-to-back single prints like that, it's not a distribution. The distribution is continuing, right? So we continue to push lower, push lower. J period just absolutely liquidates as your downside target is that 10Y point of control, which would have been a great target, right? You could have, after seeing, all right, H period, I didn't catch the short up here. I see we're holding single prints in I. Let's see what happens in J period. If we push up near I's high or where the single prints may be, I will look to get short and then have my stop at the single print fill here at 0925 with my target being here at 45.8750. So great short opportunity here in J period against I's high here at 66,000 or 4,600 basically. Great short opportunity against 4603 I's high, and your target being that 10Y point of control magnet at 45.8750. Below that, there's nothing that's supporting this market until the next day's low, which was at 45.73, and this market just continued to liquidate to the downside in J period, then in K period, and then in L period, where we finally started to see a little bit of slow in tempo and range there, but nonetheless started getting the rest of these low of days here, just pushing and pushing down to the downside, nearing our balance low at 45.25 in M period after probing in L, or excuse me, probing L's low. So basically you see that spike right there from 62 down. That's what you call a probe. So we'll mark that on our destinations here in a minute. So very interesting day. We go out with multiple sets of single prints, and I just identified a few of them, J being the fourth set, and then after that, nothing else. But we go out with an outside day down. So after gapping higher, which is rare, you don't see that too often. So I don't know whether to call the daily balance still or call the daily up. I'm not too sure how to call this one. I want to say it's still a balance, and that even though we've stretched the balance by 23 points to the upside, I think I'm going to still say it's a balance considering the liquidation we got here and how we close back into the balance area. So if we take out this low at 45.25, the daily will be one time framing down. So just keep an eye out for that. Let's go ahead and mark our destinations real quick. I know that was a lot to go over, but there were opportunities to get short on pushes up. You definitely could have taken the short in H period using B's high as your out. You could have taken that short that I described in J period using I's high as your out, or where the single prints filled at 4609 using that target of 85.25. So you're risking 9 points to the upside to get 25 points to the downside. So really good risk reward there, like a 3-to-1 risk reward. You could have taken the short in L period against K's high and the single prints. You could have taken a short in, I definitely wouldn't have recommended in M period, but you could have taken a short in M period to see if we probed using L's high as your out. Not the best risk reward there, but you could have taken a short on any push up where you were comfortable. And that's when knowing market profile and just things of that nature to better benefit you, the trader, in situations like today. And I guarantee you there were people that were just buying this on the way down, constantly getting liquidated at new lows. So today's high, 33.50, high of day. This month end has been very interesting for July. All right. Zoom in here. Now we're going to mark our single prints. What's the highest accepted price? That's the question. We opened at $28.50. We pushed up to $29.50. You know, we might call that a highest accepted price here in B period, considering we never came back to it. So I'm gonna mark that as a highest accepted price, $29.50, meaning that's where one auction ended and another began. So we stopped the auction to the upside there and began the auctioning to the downside. So we're gonna call that highest accepted price. You don't see those too often. And considering how today resulted in multiple new lows, definitely going to have to say that that's a highest accepted price. And then we have single prints that fill here at 50. Single prints fill. So just like they were something to lean against today on the short side, in the following days, if we ever come back to revisit these areas, they will become targets to fill to the upside. Just like a gap filled today to the downside, right? These are intraday gaps and they would be filled to the upside. This would be where single print starts, 727.23. Readjust that. Boom, boom. All right. Now I'm gonna work from the bottom up now, just so it makes more sense. All right, so we have today's low here at 33.75. Interesting. Sorry, my desk is making some squeaking noises that I've never heard it make before. So if you hear that in the background, I do apologize. We have a price probe here at L's low. Price probe. We go out with a lot today. A lot of information. So sorry if this video is longer than usual. So sellers want to open below 62.50 and below today's low of day. So this would be a price probe. Then we have our set of single prints that start here from J period. They start at K's high of 81.75. 81.75 is where the single prints start. If you guys have made it this far in the video and you are enjoying the content, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because this is, you know, some very valuable information in my opinion, especially when it comes to a 30-minute time frame. Single prints fill here at 95.75. Next set start at J's high here at 675. Very small set, but they are there. And then they fill at 01.25. $01.25. Single prints fill. Next set start at eyes high here at 03.25. A lot of single prints to go over here, sorry. about the longevity of this video. 0325, but very important that we know where these are at. Single print start 720, 723. Then they fill here at 0925. I'm gonna have to throw this desk away. It's gonna be an annoyance. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. So, I don't know why I labeled that green. All right, there you have it. There's all of our destinations. There's one distribution right there. There is the second distribution, and then the third distribution, or the upper distribution, being all of A's range. So triple distribution day, 4 sets of single prints, a price probe, and then a highest accepted price. No afternoon rally high. So very interesting day. See how we close out tomorrow. Let's go ahead and go over some scenarios. So like I said, sellers want to open up below the price probe here at 62.50 and take out the day's low, and then test our balance low here at 45.25. And I believe in yesterday's video I was talking about the possibility of there potentially being an outside week down, and that possibility, if we have another day like today, that is a very very good possibility. Chances of that are slim. However, it's not impossible for it to happen. So keep your hard hats on for tomorrow. So we want to take out today's low at 53.75, get down to that 45.25 balance low area. However, if we open up above the price probe, it is gone. Then you'll look to see how much you trade inside of this lower distribution. Do you push up to 81.75 which is the upper end, and back off and then take out the day's low? That's one scenario. Or you push up and then begin to grind through these sets of single prints back up to the upside, and to try to get accepted back into this middle distribution, which is from 0925 to 46.25. So if we do get going to the downside, there really isn't a whole lot to lean against. We have a lowest accepted price at 41.75. Below that, an afternoon pullback low at 28.75. Below that is that magnet 99 wide point of control at 45.09, which would be back testing that 4,500 level. Let's go ahead and look at the larger time frames. Let's look at our weekly. Pretty nasty wick here that we're seeing on the weekly candle. Like I said, we have to take out last week's low at 45.36.25. And if we take out our balance low on the daily chart, I do think that is a possibility that we can get down to there, because it's only, within $1 range or 10 points of that. So we could potentially have an outside week down come tomorrow. So not saying it's going to happen, but a very possible event. So could potentially be putting the weekly back into some type of balance if we go down on the daily tomorrow. So keep in mind that 36.25 level being the next target on the downside for the weekly. And then let's look at our daily time frame. So we were in a balance on the daily. And then we took it out today to only end with an outside day down. So I just want to say that we're still in a balance. However, if we do somehow miraculously take out today's high at 33.50, the daily will be one time framing up. But one thing to note here is how volume picked up significantly today, above average. Really good volume today, 1.5 million on the futures contract. So it's probably really good for the S&P 500 ETF. Probably some really good volume there. So let's see if we can take out 45.25 and get down to the 20-day moving average, which is at 27.58. Still going to call this a balance. So, if buyers somehow miraculously save the day tomorrow and take out this 33.50 level, then I will say you know, you gotta give them their due here. Gotta say it's up. One thing before I do forget is we hit our target. We hit that target of 46.31 March high and just took it out by a hair, only to get rejected ridiculously hard to the downside here. So ugly day for the daily. Let's see if we start to really start putting some buyers under the water by taking out our balance. If we take out this balance low, let's say we take out, let's highlight this, let's duplicate it, and then let's move it down, double it. So if we happen to take out this balance low, one of our targets would most certainly be the gap fill to the downside, and then potentially down to the 44.50 level would be the next real major target on the downside. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Hopefully you made some money. If not, better luck next time. Just make sure you know things like one-time framing down, single prints, and how to identify a trend day to keep you guys in the clear and on the right side. With all that being said, have a great one. We'll catch you in the next one. See ya.